Hi there, everyone. How you doing? Jeff C. here. It is Monday, October the 13th, and predictive programming. Have you heard that term before? Seems to be making the rounds quite a bit these days. I've covered this many times on my show, how the New World Order, or the powers that be, use predictive programming in pop culture all the time. All the time. I mean, it's... You know, a lot of people actually spend so much time trying to find all the predictive programming that is currently going on right now so that they can anticipate what their next move is. It's very difficult to do that, but we can always use hindsight. We can always look back to see which shows they were using as predictive programming. Now, The Simpsons, of course, is well known for Curious George and the Ebola outbreak, which I do believe is predictive programming. Even though it was from 1997, I think for sure that Ebola's been in the cards for a very long time. I think they have been setting this up for a very, very long time. What I'm going to be talking about today in particular is this show called Breaking Bad. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's one of the most popular shows that is out there. I guess it's AMC, right? AMC. And it's a show about this guy who is a teacher, high school teacher, and he can't pay his medical bills and, you know, can't afford to have his family and all that, so he starts manufacturing crystal meth in a lab or whatever. I've only seen a couple episodes way back in the first season. I don't watch pop culture. But this particular scene is very interesting. This came out in 2010. It's called The Fly, the episode itself, and what happens is a fly gets into their lab where they're making the crystal meth, and obviously they're worried about the fly contaminating their crystal meth production. So let's listen into the Ebola predictive programming that's in this.
Dude, you scared the shit out of me. I mean, we say it's contamination. I mean, I'm thinking like an Ebola leak or something.
Ebola?
Yeah, it's a disease on the Discovery Channel where all your intestines sort of just slip right out of your butt.
Thank you. I know what Ebola is.
Uh-huh.
Now tell me, what would a West African virus be doing in our lab?
So you're chasing around a fly, and in your world, I'm the idiot.
So let's just listen to that again, because I think it's very important that Ebola is not only mentioned, but it's described in full. Also, the whole West African connection, right? So listen in here just again as...
Out of me. I mean, we say it's contamination. I mean, I'm thinking like an Ebola leak or something.
Ebola?
Yeah, it's a disease on the Discovery Channel where...
A disease on the Discovery Channel, right, where all your organs turn to.
All your intestines sort of just slip right out of your butt.
Thank you. I know what Ebola is.
Uh-huh.
Now tell me, what would a West African virus be doing in our lab?
So I find that very telling that they're talking about Ebola. I'm not going to mention the green there, but this is how predictive programming works, because the idea is to plant Ebola fear in your brain. And if you take one of the most popular shows that is out there and you have a scene that's, you know, pretty much dedicated to Ebola itself, albeit a short scene, a 30-second scene, but they clearly describe Ebola. They clearly describe it as a West African virus and what would it be doing here, and then your organs slip out of your rear end and stuff like that, your intestines, right? It's a very colorful description. Why would they put Ebola into a show like this just a few years before this massive, unprecedented so-called outbreak, right? I think it's predictive programming, and I think that's how it works. And I know Paul Joseph Watson and Mark Dice will make videos coming out like they have been doing about the Curious George and the Ebola virus, calling lunatics, right, for believing that there is such a thing as predictive programming. There is definitely predictive programming. That's why I avoid pop culture like the bubonic plague. It disgusts me, all the things that they slip into their shows to condition your mind. So as I said, I mean, this is so people get Ebola in their mind. So next time they hear Ebola, maybe a year or 6 months or 2 years after, they instantly can think, oh yeah, I remember Ebola because they talked about it in Breaking Bad, and it was something that rots your intestines, and it, you know, right? And it's West Africa and all that. So this is the episode here. It's called The Fly. I'll leave the links for the wiki below. Maybe other people can find more. It was season 3, episode 10, and it aired on May 23rd, 2010. These guys that are really good with numbers and dates and all that, you people would know if there's anything coded in here, right? And they've got a pretty lengthy thing here talking all about it. So I'll post a link for that below. I thought it was really interesting, and just another perfect example of how they're using predictive programming to program the sheeple to believe that there is a massive Ebola outbreak that is occurring. Thank you very much for listening. Please leave your comments below, and I wish you all a wonderful day.